welcome to the board's work session. Today is February 16, 2021. We have two topics for discussion on the agenda today: the FY 2019-2020 annual report and the FY 2022 operating budget. Before I turn it over to Dr. Smith, I'm going to ask my fellow board members to introduce themselves, starting with Ms. Silvestri, our Vice President.
Good afternoon, I'm here.
Ms. O'Neill.
Good afternoon, Patty O'Neill, I'm here.
Dr. Daka.
Good afternoon, I'm here.
Ms. Mandrowski.
Hi, good afternoon, I'm here.
Ms. Evans.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Ms. Harris.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Mr. Asante.
Good afternoon, I'm here.
And I'm Brenda Wolf. Dr. Smith, do you want to begin?
Thank you, President Wolf. Good afternoon to you and all the members of the board. Today we come for two discussions with the board. The first one is around the annual report. The annual report is a requirement that each year in January, we give a report to the board and the community about the previous school year's experiences, actions, efforts, all of those areas. And obviously, given that about 25 to 30% of last year was involved in the emergency shift to a COVID-19 pandemic environment, that's had a great effect on the school system last year, as well as a tremendous effect this year as we make every preparation to bring students physically back into schools. Two areas I'd like to comment on that will be coming forward today. The first is just the use of metrics and data. And because we weren't able to complete last year, we have a lot of information we'll share, but we do have some work to do around our evidence of learning platform and our equity accountability model, because there was not state test data last spring. There was not a lot of the other data that we collected in schools. We know our grading system was drastically affected last spring, and we've continued to make changes to it this year in terms of how students proceed with withdrawals and credit and no credit and those sorts of things. And so that will be a major area of work in the coming months as we prepare for the next school year. And then the second area is how the continued work that will be done around the strategic plan and how the system will use this opportunity to continue to refine the strategic plan that the board does with staff, and that we want to ever increase the alignment of how we can show access, opportunity, student learning, student well-being, our staff recruitment efforts and our staffing efforts, everything across the system that we need to know and understand to be able to talk about our system. And so given all of that, without further ado, I'm going to now turn this over to Karen Stratman, who is our Chief of Staff that joined us in October. And so she will be walking us through this effort. So Ms. Stratman.
Thank you, Dr. Smith, and good afternoon, members of the board. Our goal here today is to provide you with a thorough overview of the annual report for fiscal year 2019 and 2020. It was a year like no other, which will result in an annual report that will look different from others. Our sub-goal is probably to get through today's presentation without use of the word unprecedented, but in as much as that is applicable, there will be some components traditionally in the district's annual report that will look different this year. And because of that, staff have made, I think, really strong attempts to look deeper into different types of data that we haven't used before, and we'll present that today for the annual report, and we'll see where there's applicability for our strategic planning efforts as well. As Dr. Smith mentioned, the annual report seeks to provide the district's response that last year was largely in the form of virtual teaching and learning offerings to the COVID-19 crisis that resulted in all of our school buildings shuttering on March 30th of 2020. So to get us started, our Director of Communications, Chris Cram, will walk us through what we've come to expect from the website that highlights our annual report and the information that is available. We'll also point out different ways that we're going to be using to demonstrate how rigorous instruction, the availability of technology, particularly for our students who are lacking a lot of technology pre-pandemic, support from our community partners, as well as the, frankly, nimbleness, extreme nimbleness of our principals and our teachers that allow for the transition of our school system in an incredibly short amount of time last spring. So Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Stratman. Let me share my screen. You'll bear with me for a moment. And I'll refresh the website. Good afternoon, members of the Board of Education, Dr. Smith, Dr. McKnight, and others. I'm pleased to share the website we have for you today. That will be the fiscal year 2019-2020 annual report. As you may remember, a few years ago, we took this effort online rather than printing a booklet. And it certainly allows us to include more material, certainly more dynamic material that might be found in other places on our website, such as our dashboard and other important sites. So as you can see here at the top of the page, we have just some quick functional things I'd like to share with you. The ability to share socially, a menu that you can find here that has the various sections. I'd like to point out while this is here that until we get this fully translated, we have Google Translate here on this first page, but eventually once fully approved and published, we will have another section in our menu here that will have all the other languages. This is something we do each and every year. So I will go down through the website and just show you some of the things that are here. It always begins with the narrative, a letter from our board president and our superintendent that outlines and begins to tell the story of the previous year. This letter, I must say, is a little bit longer and a little more unique. And Ms. Stratman, I won't say unprecedented, but we certainly have to talk about a few things that made last year unique, including other investments and other key work that we had to do last year as COVID-19 became part of the way that we had to work, and significantly in many ways operating two different school systems. And this letter and this narrative begins to tell that story. And as we go down through the site, we begin to include the other things that are really foundational, that are always part of our story, and that include some of our demographics and our vision, core purpose, core values, a reminder and always updated every year, who we are, the number of schools, student demographics, our record of success, services we provide. I didn't click here initially because it takes us to another page. And then we always link to the state's website, but I must point out, and you'll hear more about this later, but due to the impact of COVID-19, the state isn't reporting as much or the direct results as we're typically used to. And then we always include the foundational material that is a part of who we are over the last few years, including links to our strategic plan, our equity and achievement framework, and parts of the annual report. These always link to those areas of our website where this material is most up to date. Our all means all work. And then we get to the Board of Education section where we always reflect on the work that the board has done the previous year, especially with respect to policy and regulations, illustrating which of these have been changed over the year, and then linking back to their website where details about those items or that work is shared. Moving down through our strategic key bodies of work areas by focus, our 4 focus areas. Learning, accountability, and results. This really houses much of the data and reporting that we do each year. A link to our data dashboards where much of the specific information such as SAT can be found very specifically, but also on this website, bear with me, I'll go back. We embed some direct data. And I must say at this point that I was remiss at the beginning by pointing out that a large thank you needs to go to so many in the school system who helped put this together. Our Office of Shared Accountability, the Office of Human Resources and Development, School Family Support and Engagement, and our facilities. The list goes on. Much of what you'll find here requires all of those folks to dig deep and report each year about the work that we're doing. And much of that is embedded directly in the site, and some of it will lead back to their own websites. Human capital, for example, the demographic profile of our workers, retention of teachers, community partnerships and engagement, operational excellence, much of this is transportation related. And this is where we begin to show some material that is new, that is different for this year. Of course, in March of last year, when we had to transition to our continuity of learning because of the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, that was significant, quick work that the school system had to do in order to serve students. And we reflect on that work here in this section. And there is a button that leads back to that area on the website, which has much more information, that will be there as part of the record for a very long time. As spring finished, and we went a little bit beyond June 30th here to reflect on the work that we did in the spring and through the summer to get ready for a fall, which ultimately we had to begin virtually. But we originally had planned for a blended learning plan. And that's where we began our Reimagine, Reopen, and Recovery plan for the fall. And this section speaks to that work and, of course, leads to that area on the website where all of the details are. For example, clicking here will take you directly to the blended learning part of that area of the website. Let's go back to the annual report. What remote learning included. And then, of course, the budget for FY, and this is the operating budget section for FY20, where we report on this page at the top level, the funding sources and the expenditures, revenues and expenditures, but we lead back to the full story of the development, both from the superintendent's recommendation to all the work that the board did, which is all archived each and every year back on the home website. The capital improvements budget section here, which always features the largest projects, revitalizations, et cetera, for that year, the major capital projects for the year. And then we finish out the annual report with leading back to our What's Good MCPS section, which is all the stories that we did the previous year that is always filterable by each year. And that's where we put all of our good stories. So I will stop sharing at this point and turn it back to Ms. Stratton.
Thank you, Chris. Next, Dr. Keisha Addison will provide detail given the impact of COVID-19 on our ability to collect student data. The information currently indicated in the annual report and on our website and in the strategic planning website will not be able to look the same as in previous years, and will tell a story, but also tell a story somehow in a unique way. Just as an example, on our strategic planning site, in previous years, we've been able to use end of year evidence of learning data to complete our analysis, but given the reality of last year and lack of assessment data, we weren't able to calculate end of year analysis due to the situation. So Dr. Addison will go over in some detail what we are able to provide to tell the story about last year. And I want to call your attention to the through line that she'll be able to draw, starting with our 6 overarching goals for the system and on to what will be provided on the website that Chris just walked through, and went over, as well as information on the 2019-2020 strategic accelerators. And uniquely notable, I think, is the data supporting the goal of highly effective employees. Dr. Addison and various OHRD staff here in the district have done some yeoman's work in digging deep into the staff and teacher data around retention, around other factors such as experience, other demographic data in order to tell last year's story. All of these data points, again, will provide the context for our work moving forward as we begin to focus our work in those focus areas of need that have shown themselves to be critical for our students brought about by the COVID-19 crisis, and that our 2-year plan is based on. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Addison.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We got the slide deck, please. Thank you. And before I begin with the visual and the slides, I just want to acclimate you to what you will see. The focus of my portion of the presentation is to share fiscal year 2020 performance areas that were monitored. And as was shared previously, the COVID-19 pandemic impacted some of the measures we were able to capture during the school year. Given this, in addition to seeing measures highlighted that are indicated on the strategic planning site, you will also see supplementary measures. And as I walk you through this section of the presentation, you will see the program indicator on the upper left hand of the slide. On this slide, you see the Students Ready to Learn program indicator, which focuses on successful preparation of students at the early ages. To provide you with some background information, in MCPS, a sample of students completed the 2019-2020 assessment of kindergarten readiness. More specifically, 12% of our kindergarten students took the KRA, which was about 1,400 students. And the State Early Childhood Indicator, which is the KRA, is administered to children in the state of Maryland and is designed to help educators develop a holistic picture of children's readiness for kindergarten. And students are determined to be either demonstrating readiness, approaching readiness, or emerging readiness. For the 2019-2020 school year, 53% of the MCPS kindergarten students who took the KRA were identified as demonstrating readiness, which was better than the state average of 47%. 27% of our students were identified as approaching readiness, and 21% were identified as emerging readiness. Next slide, please. End of year evidence of learning attainment is another measure identified under the Students Ready to Learn performance indicator. Due to the emergency school building closures related to COVID-19, staff were not able to provide an end of year view of the evidence of learning attainment. However, prior to the closure of buildings, we shared with you the transition data, which is presented on this slide. As a reminder, during the evidence of learning transition reporting, we share the performance of students in transition grades 3, grade 6, and grade 9. As of February 2020, 65% of our grade 3 students met evidence of learning attainment, 62% of grade 5 met evidence of learning attainment, and 83% of grade 9 students met evidence of learning attainment. Next slide, please. Now I am transitioning to the Reducing and Eliminating Disparities in Student Learning Performance Indicator, which has a focus on access, opportunity, and equity. The Equity Accountability Model, which is under the All-in Equity and Achievement Framework, is designed to identify for us the impact a school has on the students it serves. This information is also available on our data dashboard. As a reminder, the Equity Accountability Model has 7 components. Although many of the components within the model were impacted due to COVID, we are able to provide a view of the English learners component of the model. The performance of English learners is reported in the limited English proficiency component of the Equity Accountability Model. This component focuses on the scores obtained on the WIDA Access, more specifically the literacy composite score and proficiency level. In this component of the Equity Accountability Model, the concentration is on literacy growth. And as you see on this slide, for students who are at an access level of 1.0 to 3.9, 68% met their literacy growth. And for those with access levels of 4.0 or higher, 72% met their literacy growth. Next slide, please. Next in this area is information on summer opportunities, which is included as a supplementary measure. As the district worked to provide a response to the impact of COVID-19 school building closures, summer opportunities were provided for students to assist in ensuring students had access to summer opportunities to provide additional supports. During the summer, we launched multiple virtual learning opportunities for students, and not counting high school students, reached more than 49,000 students. This information was provided to you via a memo in July. Next slide, please. Now I will transition to the Students Prepared for College and Career Program indicator. The indicator includes measures that were also highlighted in the annual report by Mr. Cram, such as SAT, exam performance, and participation. Performance in the Maryland College and Career Readiness for the class of 2020 is presented on this slide. As students progress through our system, the ultimate goal is graduating college and career ready. The College and Career Readiness Completion Act of 2013 requires Maryland to prepare all students for college and careers upon graduating from high school. There is one error I do want to point out on this slide, which is the heading for the alternative GPA. It should be indicated as 2.75 as opposed to 3.0. And that was a change due to COVID-19, where it was indicated that that GPA expectation was lowered. Overall, we see that for all students, 83% met CCR in mathematics. And as you look at the performance across the focus groups, you will see the percentages range from a low of 66% for our Hispanic Latino students impacted by poverty to a high of 95.5% for Asian, white, and all other students groups not impacted by poverty. For students identified as limited English proficient, 55% met CCR in mathematics, 68% of our students receiving special education services met CCR in mathematics, and 71% of students receiving free and reduced price meal system services met CCR in mathematics. Next slide, please. Here we have the Maryland College and Career Readiness for literacy. 91% of students overall met CCR in literacy. Percentages across the focus groups range from a low of 79% to a high of 98%. And for students identified as limited English proficient, 69% met CCR in literacy. 6% of students receiving special education services met CCR in literacy, and 84% of students receiving free and reduced price meal system services met CCR in literacy. Next slide, please. On this slide, you see the information related to SAT participation and performance. It is important to note that the SAT administrations for spring 2020 were disrupted due to the COVID-19 pandemic school building closures. However, even with the reduced access to buildings, MCPS 2020 graduates still participated in the SAT at high rates. In 2020, the SAT participation rates for graduates was 78.5%, compared to that of Maryland, which was 88.4%, and the nation of 64.5%. Similarly, the average SAT score for the class of 2020 was 1,098, compared to 1,029 for Maryland and 1,051 for the nation. More detailed information of the 2020 MCPS SAT participation and performance are available through the annual report and also on our MCPS data dashboards. Next slide.
Dr. Addison, if I could, let's leave this slide up for a minute. I questioned a couple of weeks ago this data, and I went back and looked at it, and it is what is in the College Board data. It says that Maryland had 88.4% participation in 2020 on the SAT. And that's what the College Board is reporting, but I've asked staff to go back and communicate with the College Board, because that's an amazing shift if you look at that from 19 to 20 for the participation for the state of Maryland. Just amazing. And we do SAT School Day, and not everyone had the opportunity to do that last year. And so it's very hard for me to understand. And so I just wanted to point out that data point right there as something we're looking into, and we will come back and let you know if we get more information about either what caused that or if it indeed was an error in the data. And I don't know which it is, but it's an amazing, when you look at the size of the graduating class in Maryland is about 60,000 students, 56,000 students, and 88.4% of them participated in the SAT. That's interesting. So.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Next slide, please. The Maryland Seal of Biliteracy is an award given by participating school systems that recognizes a student's high level of proficiency in listening, speaking, reading, and writing in English and one or more languages. Montgomery County started participating in the program beginning with the class of 2017. For the class of 2020, 2,060 students earned the Seal of Biliteracy for the state of Maryland. Next slide, please. Transitioning to the next program indicator, a safe and healthy learning environment. With this program indicator, the focus is to continue to increase outreach opportunities to all families. During the 2019-2020 school year, 52 Parent Academy workshops were held by staff and student and family support and engagement. Some of the topics covered were mindfulness, youth mental health, active parenting, and effective parent-teacher conferences. Next slide, please. The next program indicator highlighted is highly effective employees. In this area, we are committed to supporting the needs of all students by hiring and maintaining a highly qualified, diverse, and culturally proficient workforce. These data represent data as of October 15th. For fiscal year 2020, 58% of our workforce was white, 18% Black or African American, and 14% Hispanic or Latino. And these data come from our Office of Human Resources Development. Next slide, please. And looking at the workforce of principals, we see a similar pattern of percentages, higher percentages of females, and additionally, more principals in 2020 were identified as white, followed by 34% identified as African American. And looking across the years, the percentages have been relatively stable across each of the years. Next slide, please. On this slide, you see the total years of experience for principals. Again, looking across the years, relatively stable. The majority of principals are between 15.1 years and 30 years. Next slide, please. Still focused on highly effective employees, on this slide is the demographic profile of new teachers. The majority of new teachers in fiscal year 2020 were female, and additionally 63% were white, 14% Black or African American, and 13% Hispanic or Latino. Next slide, please. Here we see the total years of experience for new teachers. As one might expect, many are new to teaching overall, and so we see 50% did not have prior year experience. It should be noted, though, that these data also include years of experience an individual may have worked as a teacher in another school district. Next slide, please. This slide includes demographic information for teachers. As observed before, the majority of teachers were female and many of the teachers were white. Next slide, please. Illustrated on this slide is years of experience. Across the years displayed, percentages remained relatively stable. And for fiscal year 2020, the majority of teachers were between 0.1 to 25 years of experience. Next slide, please. This chart shows the cohort of teachers hired in a fiscal year and the number from that cohort that terminated employee in subsequent fiscal years. And it should be noted that this chart does not include retirements. Next slide, please. And now I will turn it over to Ms. Wolf and the board for discussion.
Are there any questions? Ms. O'Neill?
It's not really a question, it's more a comment, and it circles back to the SATs because I realized this was last year's data, 2020, but the impact of the SAT, limited offerings for testing, and we have not had a school day SAT option or participation, and the fact that many colleges for this year's graduating class have gone SAT optional or test optional. I think we will be bearing out the limited number of kids taking the SATs for some time to come. And I know it's not reported in this data, but even the AP exam IB participation is going to be skewed differently.
Dr. Daka?
Yeah, back to slide number 2. The 6th grade district score is so much lower, and do we know why? It looks different because the overall is higher than that.
You're referring to the evidence of learning data, Dr. Daka?
If it's slide 1, which I'm trying to get to. Yeah. Yes. And it's 38.7% for 6th graders on the district exam. So was there something wrong with our exam? Do we know?
Sorry, I thought someone was talking. No, there was not anything wrong with our exam. I do think that as we think about when we first rolled out evidence of learning, we were continuing to shore up our district measures. And so that's in our district measure area. And so remember, we were rolling out new assessments. And so some of those we recognize were a little more challenging for our students in the beginning.
Okay, for the 6th grade, evidently, because the others didn't quite go that low. Thank you.
Mr. Asante?
Yeah, I was looking at the annual report and the AP exams taken, and I see that our white students took 2 times the number of our Black and Hispanic students combined. And I was wondering, and our Black and Hispanic students both took less exams than the year prior. I was wondering if that was because of COVID, that, the number of exams being less, and then also I guess what's being done during that course registration process for our students of color to ensure that they are being encouraged to take AP tests and then AP classes in general.
Mr. Asante, that's a very timely question. One of the things that the board will receive in your transmittal this week or next week is an update on the Equal Opportunity School effort, which is all about reaching students who typically have not been identified or not put themselves forward for advanced placement in a national baccalaureate courses. And we've been working during the fiscal year 2017, 18, 19, and 20 years to change just what you're describing. And there's an extensive analysis of that work in the documents that are coming to you. But just the high points now would be that we have made progress. So it's actually better than it was 5 years ago. And it's a pervasive problem, not only in Montgomery County, but across the state and nation. And the genesis of it is actually in the earliest grades. And if you go back and look at the college career ready indicators, on the slide, and you look at literacy and mathematics, you see that that disparity for our students of color and our students in poverty of all races is greater in mathematics than it is in the humanities courses. You see that perpetually. It's another, to use the word that I don't typically use, gap. So when we look at this, we not only look at the disparity in access and participation, we also look at the disparity of who gets the higher scores in general and who gets the lower scores more often. We look at who takes which courses, and all of those things have to be looked at. But it is It is a problem that begins in the earliest grades, and I believe we will continue to see progress in the coming years as we've changed our enrichment programs in the elementary school to make those much more available to all students, especially students of color in the middle school. And that will have an effect on the high school. But part of it is the recruitment and the identification of students. But another part of it is the difference in expectations that is often held for students based on race, income, language, all of those, if they have an IEP or not, all of those things. But it is one of the most pervasive issues, challenges, and I think one of the biggest problems in our entire society today, because that opportunity to engage in the most rigorous coursework by the time you finish high school ought to be available to every single student who wants that. And whether they want the most rigorous coursework in calculus or in automotive technology or in the Academy of Health Sciences, that doesn't matter to me so much. Is that one, they're prepared to do any of those, and two, they have access to any of those, whatever they choose. But it is a significant issue that we must continue to address as a school system and a state and a nation.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that progress is being made towards increasing that access.
I have a question, and I see you after me, Ms. Silvestri, and then Ms. Harris. My question is regarding diversity of employees in hiring. And I know that we were dedicating staff to increasing the diversity of our workforce, but I see the percentages remaining basically the same. So I wanted to know if you could talk about the efforts around that and what success you might have had.
So, Ms. Wolf, I can start, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Nixon. I'm glad you raised that question. It's really important, and I'll say there are two ways in which we're looking at this. Recruiting is one effort, and I think that our team has done a great job in really thinking about different ways to approach recruiting. The HR team came forward and shared some of the strategies that they've been trying more recently around recruiting with the board. But the next part of that is also being able to retain the staff that we do recruit. And that gets into, once they are hired into our system, how do we onboard, support, mentor, and help guide them to remain the employees in our system that we grow them to be and we need them to be for our students. And so that's another big part of our work moving forward. As you know, that's why there is an area dedicated to that in the anti-racist audit, focused on that very diversity piece, because that's what has to be actualized at the system level, but also in every single building and office. And that's where it becomes, built in a way that permeates across the system. But I'll turn it over to Ms. Nixon. I know she had some additional comments.
Thank you, Dr. McKnight. Thank you for the question, Ms. Wolf. So this past year, Tomas Figueroa arrived in MCPS when I did over the summer. And he has been working diligently over these past few months, truly focused on solely recruiting diverse workforce, diverse teachers. We have leveraged new platforms and social media. We have been able to increase our recruitment at Hispanic serving institutions and historically Black colleges and universities. And I can share with you one particular strategy. It has been difficult in years past to be able to access freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors who are working specifically in their education and their human development classes, and even in their practicums at various colleges and universities. Oftentimes, school systems are really kind of met at the door and said, well, here's our career fair, and this is where you have to come. One of the, I will call it a silver lining of COVID, is now that we've been able to leverage platforms like Zoom and Google Hangout and WebEx meetings, we have really been able to have a greater presence at colleges and universities where we actually can go into classrooms, introduce ourselves to education majors, not just in their senior year when they're getting ready to graduate and possibly have already made decisions and determinations about where they want to live, but in their formative years so that they get to know Montgomery County Public Schools as a system, and we can leverage and start building relationships with them. So that's been a really great byproduct of this. And again, one of the things that Tomas has been able to do is to really leverage our presence in LinkedIn, on Hulu, and to really have these opportunities for greater face-to-face, and we're able to cast a wider net. The other thing that we're doing that I think is going to really shift the way we look at hiring and interrupt some biases that hiring managers may have is we've worked very closely with our equity office, with Troy Body and his team, to create a training module on bias in hiring and really interrupting that. And the crux of that really is for anyone who has the opportunity to make a decision about hiring, someone who sits on a panel, an interview panel, the debriefing panel, where we want people to kind of realize what are the biases that we sometimes bring when we assess a resume, when we assess a cover letter, when we are creating interview questions, when we are debriefing the process. And so we're working with that team. We've got a module that we've put together. We're in the process right now where we're collecting stakeholder feedback on the module itself, but really are going to put it out there so that all hiring managers look at this, internalize it, and really check themselves to see what are the practices that I may be engaging in. Additionally, we've talked about how we're building our pipelines, our internal pipelines, the way that we are getting students in our classrooms interested in becoming teachers. We have programs where our students in the dual enrollment programs are taking college-bearing credit toward their college and universities. We are looking at creating a Back to Montgomery County Public Schools program so that our students that we've identified who are going on to four-year institutions to earn a degree in teacher education have a pathway back to us. So we are looking to create ways where we can make sure that our students that are leaving have an opportunity to come back to help in summer school, where our team in HR serve as coaches and mentors to these students, where we build distribution lists and keep track of them, where we bring them back when they come home for the winter break or the spring break and summer break. We continue to forge those relationships with our kids. So we're trying to look at multiple ways of addressing the issue. The data that Dr. Addison previewed about our teachers between 79 and 80% being white and female, that really is the national average as well. And it's something that we know we need to do better at in the ways that we encourage our own students to become teachers. And Nick and I and our team in OHRD are also working on an opportunity where we will leverage some of the student voices that he represents in the springtime to have a guest appearance at one of his meetings of the OHRD staff to talk about how we recruit, why teaching is a really great profession and why we need you out there. So we want to use our own student voices to help us spread the message of getting our students interested in these professions. So those are some high-level things that we continue to do, and know that that is at the forefront of the work that Tomas has been brought in to do. And we're hoping over the next couple of years where we will start to see that needle move. And we certainly want to invest in our pipeline programs so that our own students can come back to us as well.
Now, thank you for that summary. But I think that Dr. McKnight hit upon the real issue in my mind, which I bring up every single year when they show these numbers, is retention. Because I'm glad to hear that you have a training module that deals with bias in hiring. But I think you also need to develop something that deals with bias in evaluation, because there is something going on where retention becomes a problem, particularly around our minority employees. Before I get to you, Ms. Silvestri, Ms. Mandrowski indicated she had a follow-up question to this discussion, if you don't mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be
Ms.
quick. I just
Krause.
was curious, when we're talking about investments that we're making in the bring people back, one thing that we've been discussing, or I've been mentioning for my 8 years on the board, providing scholarship opportunities where we pay for students' college up front and then they do a payback in years of service. If we had started that 8 years ago, we'd have a 4 years worth of potential student teachers here in Montgomery County that we've grown ourselves. Are we doing anything with that? Are we investing any money in that? Are we looking at that or no?
We have not started looking at ways to pay for college tuition. I think that's something that we can certainly look at. And I know in previous conversations, we've talked about what that might look like and where there could be some seed money or grant money opportunities to do such a thing. So that's a conversation we certainly can have. I think one of the things that I know has happened in previous districts where I have worked, where they have tried to look at paying for scholarship opportunities for students to go on to college. Sometimes there was pushback with taxpayer dollar going to pay for college tuition, and what happens when those students, or if those students don't meet the requirement and leave a program, how do we get those monies back? So those are some very important conversations to have and try to navigate how to have them and how to get seed money for it, and would there be grant opportunity for it? And that's certainly something that we can investigate.
Dr. Nixon, I would like to add too, because I just happen to have some information in front of me right now that I think adds to this conversation. That was a problem. Ms. Mandrowski, when I got here, I think there were 8 students that the system had given a scholarship to like 2 years earlier, but then they hadn't followed up the year before I got here. And so we finished out those 8 students. And of those 8 students, all 8 of them, even though we completed their scholarships, none of them indicated an interest in coming back and teaching in Montgomery County or in teaching as a profession. That's the problem, is that when you send students off to any of the possible 4,000 universities and colleges in the United States, that they don't necessarily come back. This data that I'm going to share with you right now will be in a board presentation in a couple of weeks when we give our mid-year update on how we're doing. And you've all heard this before, but I have the newest number right now that in 2018, we had 8 students who completed an Associate of Arts degree at Montgomery College and a high school diploma simultaneously. In 2019, we had 14 students. In 2020, last spring, in the middle of the pandemic, we had 42. This spring, we'll have 125 students who complete an Associate of Arts degree that's been all or substantially paid for at Montgomery College and a high school diploma simultaneously. All of those students, if they chose to, could now go to USG and stay right in the community and get a teaching credential. That's where we need to invest our money, not in the shotgun, but in a very focused way, because there's only 2 years left for them to complete this degree. And they've already stayed here. They've got an AA, they stay at USG in one of the, I think there are 9 different programs there right now, all tailored to what we need in ESOL, special education, in speech pathology, in general education. And those are growing all the time. And so that's where the real opportunity exists. That, and we also pay a lot of tuition for our support employees, and we need to continue and expand that. Those 2 things, with over 1 million residents in this community, could become the foundation to bring not only all the teachers, but all of the staff members we need, whether they're coding, whether they're running a heat HVAC system, it doesn't matter. It could all be done primarily here, and then we could recruit outside just to bring in new ideas and new ways of thinking. But foundationally, you could do it all right here. And Montgomery College, USG, MCPS is the secret to that if we just keep doing what we're doing. And Scott Murphy told me that if we keep doing what we're doing, that 125, in 2023-24 will be over 1,000 students who will get an AA degree and a high school diploma the same week. Over 1,000. Yeah, that's the secret to this.
That's very exciting. Yeah, and I agree, and I appreciate you saying all that because I do think that with the scholarship idea, it can be regulated to you have to go to it's only for Montgomery College, USG, but I know Mount St. Mary's used to do something along those lines, and that you were required to stay in Maryland, and that's how you paid back your scholarship.
Ms. Silvestri, go ahead.
My question was not about HR, but you got me so excited. I just wanted to say just that I really am optimistic about the Grow Your Own pathway that Ms. Nixon has described. And yeah, I think that we need to put a lot of energy and brain power to make that happen, and excited to see that coming to fruition in the future. My question was about data, evidence of learning. You presented a chart that was aggregate of everyone. Do we not normally at this meeting have it disaggregated by our focus groups? Is that at a different time of the year?
That's at a different time of the year. That was just a look back at last March's one shot of evidence of learning. So what you're going to see in March will be the update of this year, and you'll see some disaggregated data. Unfortunately, as Dr. Addison said, many of the elements of those different measures are now no longer available right now. And so one of the things that we're going to have to do, and Dr. McKnight and I have been talking about this, we've been working with other staff members to make sure this happens, is find the measures that will continue to give us the evidence of what's happening for students, no matter how we disaggregate or slice and dice the data. And we've been able to do that every year. This was just one slide as an illustration of what we have been doing, and making the point that we're going to have to shift that between now and next fall so that we continue to have that evidence of learning available to us in a really robust, complete way.
And maybe for the March meeting, I'm just very interested in seeing how this big level, the system level data translates to schools. And I know that in years past, you have highlighted comparable schools and how they are doing to meet and exceed some of the system-wide measures. So I hope that we can come back to doing some of that, highlighting the schools that are doing this well and or have shown progress. I think that's very helpful.
We agree, and we're attempting to do that wherever we can in this strange environment we're in right now.
Thank you.
Ms. Harris.
Thank you. I want to circle back to some of the issues that Ms. Wolf raised, looking at our teacher workforce. And first, just a quick observation that we are collecting all of this data, and we are the only gender identities are male, female. And I think as we try to become kind of a fully inclusive school system, and one that's truly warm and welcoming to everybody, teachers, students, and staff, I think it's important to note that a significant number of our workforce would prefer a either a gender neutral or non-binary gender identifier, and that will help us to truly make sure that we are becoming creating a truly diverse and welcoming workforce. But looking at those gender numbers, I noticed, one thing I just noticed is that we are still a school system that's overwhelmingly female and overwhelmingly white. But when we look at that gender breakdown, we see 80% of our teachers are female, but only 65% of our principals are. It'd be interesting to take a deeper dive into why that is. And then looking more directly at some of the things Ms. Wolf was talking about, as we look at our data on the years of experience in our teacher workforce, do we have that data broken down by these same sort of racial categories? Which how does our teacher workforce fall into those breakdowns of years of experience? But also flipping looking at our hiring, I'd also be able to following up on something Ms. Wolf said, looking at we have data here looking at teachers who leave relatively early within the first 5 years of teaching, but I don't see that broken down with these same sorts of identifiers And I would also be interested to see that broken down, teachers who leave the workforce within a relatively few number of years, broken down by the same sort of racial identifiers, but also voluntary and involuntary departures.
Okay, Dr. Daka.
Okay, I'm back at slide 1. I noticed that we have assessed only 12% of the students that are in that 11,000. So that means that we're going to have to do this between now and the time that we open fully. It seems like an enormous job, but is that
no, Dr. Daka, they switched to a sample method instead of a total census for the kindergarten readiness assessment. And so they chose a random sampling of 12%.
Okay.
That was a shift in 2016. And scientifically, the sample they chose should represent the children we serve in total.
Oh, okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I know this is picky, but on slide 11, youth mental health, I couldn't read that. It was in yellow, and I had to get right up on the screen to read that. So I just wanted to mention it, and thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, I'm seeing none. Dr. Smith, do you want to continue?
Thank you, Ms. Wolf. I'm particularly excited by the complexity and sophistication of the annual report. We have moved it into being a much fuller, richer document for people who really want to dig into the past year in Montgomery County Public Schools. And because it's online, they have access to all of the ones we've done this way. And so I'd like to compliment all of the staff engaged in this, and there are many staff, chief among them, Dr. Addison, Mr. Cram, and joining us this year, Ms. Stratman. So thank you to all of you and all of the folks that you represent for really bringing about an annual report that is much more complex, provides much more information, and tells the story as it is. We never want to give a happy conversation or a miserable conversation. We want to say, these are the areas, this is the growth, this is the area of frustration where we haven't made progress, and this is how we're going to go forward. And that's how we can actually continue to have a real sense and spirit and work of continuous improvement by knowing what is directly and accurately, and then moving forward from there. So thank you for that work on the annual report. Obviously, a big part of that moving forward is the fiscal year 2022 budget. And it has been a true roller coaster ride since last summer, but it's been an inverted roller coaster. So we went way down to the area of despair back in September, October, November, as we were watching decline enrollment. We were watching an economic, downfall in the state and nation, and really deeply concerned about trying to build an FY22 budget that did not contain literally hundreds of layoffs and massive cuts in many areas of upwards of $100 million or more. So we were looking at somewhere between 3 and 5% of our operating budget really being profoundly impacted and reduced when we were analyzing everything. But the good news is that there's some good news, and it's really shifted considerably. So if we can bring up the first slide, we're going to walk through some information today that you've seen before. We just want to make sure we keep it in front of our community, because we have a long process ahead of us as a school system until the end of May. And then the board will adopt their final FY22 operating budget in June, and it will become effective July 1st. So about 6 months or 5.5 months from now, all of this will be going forward. So as we look at this, the thing I want to point out for our community today, and anyone who might be watching this meeting, is this is the operating budget. We also have available to us federal legislation that provided some money that will be in place this spring and over the next 2 school years after this one, and then a little bit into that 3rd school year. So it essentially goes from March or April of 21, the spring, until September 30th, when the federal budget year ends in 2023, and that's part of the 23-24 school year. And so that, we're not talking about those funds today, but they will be braided into these funds. So when we're thinking, well, that's not enough money to do this, you know, all of what might need to be done next year, we have that. We also have some grant funding that we will make reference to as we look at what's possible. And I also just read today that the governor put in a supplemental budget request for another $150 million around the blueprint funds. That's just new news out today. But we also have some things we have to get past and through over the next couple of months. The first thing I'll point out to you is the asterisk around local revenue. That's our county council approved funding. And the county council has introduced a supplemental appropriation for right now of $750,000 for restorative justice training. So that changes all the numbers. It changes our maintenance of effort for next year and all of those things. And so we'll be adding that in. But when you look at this, the total expenditure change is just about $25 million there in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, $24,255,131. But that's contingent on some things that I want to walk us through today. And then I want to talk about some bodies of work that we're going to recommend to the board that would go forward and that you would make a decision on February 23rd, when this tentative board adopted budget will be voted on. And then whatever you approve will be sent over to the county executive to embed in the county budget, and for the county council and the county executive to work through their budget process. So these are the big numbers as we look at them. There's $1,600,000 in federal and other revenue reduction, and that's from a lot of places across. It's a lot of small amounts of money aggregated, and then there's the total revenue picture in terms of the change from for FY22 and the increase for FY22. Next slide, please. So when we look at this, the big changes have come about, first of all, because of what happened to the governor's budget. And you can see the December 2020 estimate for FY22 is there. And we actually did lose money in the state budget formulas, almost $12 million. That was reduced because of the 5,750 or so fewer students that we had as of February 1st. It actually is based on our September 30th count, so it would be somewhat smaller than that 5,000, but that enrollment drop does have a powerful effect both at the state and local level. And it's on September 30th that's determined, and that becomes our official count. And at that time, it was about 3,600 students. The state blueprint initiatives also were of great concern. And as you know, last week, the House of Delegates and the Senate did overturn the governor's veto. But a very interesting turn of events was that the governor actually put $31 million more for Montgomery County and hundreds of millions across the state for all counties to support blueprint initiatives. So he put the money in January in his budget. I assume he was anticipating the overriding of the veto, but I don't speak for him. I just know that he did put the money there, and that's really helps offset that $11 million loss right above it. Then the state supplemental instruction and tutoring grant, this is an additional $20 million that we're awaiting information on to understand really about what that will mean for us. Every indication from the state is that is not a competitive grant, it's a block grant. that each school system will get based on a formula, and we'll know more as the state rolls out the rules around that and how that can be used. But that will allow a lot of braiding of funds, because it won't be a typical regular part of our operating budget, but it is there, and we are counting it as money we can use to serve students in the coming year. The most important part of this particular effort was the governor's hold harmless grants for enrollment and for student transportation for special education services. That equals $29 million that we would have had a negative number there because of our loss of enrollment, and we would have had a negative number there because we haven't been transporting our usual number of students receiving special education services this year. But he put in a hold harmless there that is an incredibly helpful level of support to school systems, and that's what gives us the net $25 million more dollars right there. When you're adding and subtracting, instead of having a reduction, we have an addition. There is a caveat to that, though, and that the board members all know this, and the staff knows it, and the county government knows it, but I want to share it today so anyone who's watching or listening can understand that the strings that are attached to those hold harmless grants for enrollment and student transportation in the governor's Budget Reconciliation and Finance Act proposal, he indicated that in order for these hold harmless grants to be available to a local school system, the local government must exceed this year's allocation. So we would look at what we received from the county government this year, and he would have to put in at least a little bit more money than that. And we had asked for $40 million over maintenance of effort back in December, and recommended to the board that you move ahead with that $40 million. And the governor's effort here around these hold harmless grants makes it imperative that the local government give the county school system that $40 million or more, because Section 10 of the Budget Reconciliation and Finance Act, the BRFA, says that's what has to happen. Now we'll see what the General Assembly does with that, and how the Maryland Association of Counties, MACO, responds to it. But it does create a circumstance so that if Montgomery County only funds us at $30 million over maintenance of effort, we would lose 29. And if they're not going to fund us the full amount to get the $29 million, then it's likely they're going to fund us at zero over maintenance of effort, which would be a $69 million loss. And so I'm doing a lot of adding and subtracting there with negative and positive numbers. But the fact is that it's all tied together right now. And so far, nothing out of the General Assembly has indicated that the General Assembly has a desire to remove that connection. And so we're going to have to watch all of that very closely. So in order to get the $29,701,255, the county government must fund the local school system at about $40 million over maintenance of effort this year. And then I already talked about those miscellaneous adjustments and the $750,000 supplemental appropriation in this current budget year. And that gives you the whole picture of where the money's coming from for the general operating budget. Next slide, please. Now, last spring, we swung into action almost immediately because Karen Salmon and Larry Hogan announced on March 12th that we'd have a 2-week closure of schools. Maryland was the second state after Ohio to close its schools because of COVID in the entire nation. Within a week, a third of all states had closed their schools. And in the second week of that 2-week emergency closure, almost 40 states had closed their schools. I think it was 36 or 37 by Wednesday, about the 27th of March. Everybody swung into action, including the county council, and they called Miss Evans, who was president of the board at the time, and me before them, and said, "You're only going to get maintenance of effort." And so at that time, we started removing things from the budget that were new. And this $4.1 million worth of accelerators for key bodies of work, most of this was removed last year before we even got to the hard cutting of the budget that had to be done. These were essentially new efforts that were needed in the system, but knowing that we were headed into a very tough time, we removed those. And I want to talk through those in a minute. And then when we look at the 2.5-year plan focusing on the needs for students, Dr. McKnight will be talking through that and the plan and how the funds that are available in this $30 million will be braided together with the federal funds and other restricted funds coming forward from the state. But I'm going to pause there before I talk about these accelerators and ask Ms. Wolf if there are questions from her or other members of the board.
Are there any questions? I can't see with the slide up, Dr.
Shall we take the slide down and make sure? There we go.
Yeah. Are there any questions so far? Ms. Silvestri.
Dr. Smith, could you just restate what you said? Because I heard it, but I want to make sure I understood it correctly. The state money is dependent on the county council funding our budget at our request, not at maintenance of effort, but at our request. Is that? So
your understanding was very good, Ms. Silvestri. You said exactly what is the situation right now. The $29 million of hold harmless grants from the state is dependent on the county government funding the request that we've put forward and that we're asking you to continue to put forward of $40 million over maintenance of effort. That's if they don't fund at the local, then right now the way that is structured is that $29 million of state money will not come forward for Montgomery County Public Schools.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing any, Dr. Smith, so you can go on.
Thank you. So let's go forward with the slides. And these will be quick. You see it's $4.1 million. Next slide. They fall into these chapters: schools, curriculum, instructional programs, engagement, innovation, operations, and operations and technology support and infrastructure. So first slide, please. Next slide. So in chapter 1, which is a very large chapter that covers all of kindergarten through 12th grade, this includes $143,000 to realign a coordinator position and add an instructional specialist. And these are for defined special education programs. This is an area where we have added a great deal of money in special education over the last few years, especially the $9.2 million from Kerwin last year and this year. And we're going to need to continue to do that. And I'll just call your attention because we're going to have to do a lot of work with families and our students to really mitigate the effect of COVID-19 on all of our students, and in particular on students receiving special education. The $20,000 for additional psychological testing materials is really an effort to support our psychologists so that they can spend more of their time with students and less time on testing. It's a very small ask, but it is an important effort and one that we might want to grow in the future. The next 3 items all came from the system-wide review of athletics that we did a couple of years ago, especially around safety, security, and the well-being of students. But one of the things that became clear in those extensive conversations that were held with focus groups of students and staff was the struggle that schools experienced based on the level of community or neighborhood support for the school. And I don't need to call out school names, but School X, the community that is served by School X might bring about $300,000 worth of support for a school, and School Y, 5 miles away, they might actually only be able to come up with $50,000 of community support. And so one of the things we had put in the budget last year and we took out were these areas of support for security, but also for equity around transportation and around system-wide maintenance to address field maintenance across the entire system, so that we had a more, and I don't mean to make a joke, but I guess it's kind of a pun, a more level playing field for all of our students in how we transport them, how we don't charge individual students and require them to do fundraisers to get transportation for athletics, how we have more security at events, and how we make sure we're maintaining our fields. Next slide, please. We also implemented a supervisor position. This is another point of equity. We've long had internships and partnerships in the system. We have really worked to expand those. Part of that expansion is through this effort to help students get Associate of Arts degrees, and many of those do involve getting into internships, partnerships, work-based learning, as well as our career and technical programs, and anything else that any student wants to do in the system around that college and career readiness that we think is so important. And so we have a position, someone that's working full-time on building out even more of those internships and partnerships. We don't want this. We think it's absolutely inappropriate for this to be a family and friends sort of thing. So if you have family and friends that will get you an internship, you have one. If you don't, then you're out of luck. It ought to be that it's methodical, that it's systematic, and that it's available to every student across the system. And we're going to continue to build that out. That's what this position is in place for, and it needs to be added to the budget. The next slide, please. The partnership unit, one of the most foundational parts of these internships and partnerships and work-based experiences is our Summer Rise program. Very, very unfortunate that we weren't able to hold it last summer. Tremendous interest and growth in this program to give students a career opportunity, and it literally takes 12 months out of the year and year-round effort to build out the program. And we have 24,000 students who qualify for this program. And so 24,000 students to get the level so that we can get up into the thousands of partnerships. We were thrilled 2 summers ago to have 600 students and their employers and their family members at a banquet in August. It was a great day and a great moment, but with 24,000 students, 600 is not enough. And so this is a build out of that program. We also restricted our communications department over the past year by removing some things from the communications department that are much needed in it during the pandemic, and we think we should add those back because, as we all know from the past years and the past month, there are a few things more critical than good communications across the system and across the community, and that's where those fall in Chapter 6. The next slide, please. Chapter 7, we eliminated 10 building service worker positions that we had wanted to increase during this current school year. So we want to provide that increase starting July 1. And we're going to take a close look at that and add more if we need to as we get closer to that time. But I will remind everyone, and I know the board knows this well, I've had a chance to either go to and visit or drive around all of our new facilities, whole new facilities in the system. So Seneca Valley just about doubled in size. Maryvale is now co-located with Carl Sandburg. Lux Manor has been replaced and enlarged. Tilden Middle School moved from the old Woodward High School into a new building and is co-located with Rock Terrace. And Potomac Elementary has been replaced. If you haven't had a chance to see those buildings, they are really, really fine school buildings, and I'm looking forward. I need to get inside 4 more of them this year, and hopefully, if it's possible later in the spring or early summer, I would strongly encourage the board to go on a tour of those schools as well as the ones that are being worked on right now, but they are really fine, and that's why we need the building service worker positions, and we may need more than 10. And the procurement buyer has been an ongoing effort since before I got here to really make sure all of our procurement, our use of contracts and bidding is very solid all the way through every day, all day. And so this is a team that works very hard and does tremendous work. And we need to support them so that we can get an additional position to make sure that we are following all the rules and getting the best possible deals for the school. Next slide, please. And finally, the first two bullets really go to safety and security. We do not want to be in the position that some of our neighboring school systems have been in, and yet the attacks on school district digital systems, as well as all other digital systems during this COVID-19 era, have been incredible. It seems like everyone who's sitting at home is indeed, if they have any bad intent at all, they're trying to attack the digital infrastructure of school systems. And so the first two are for that purpose, to make sure that we have good systems so that we can get to our content, but that people with bad intent cannot get to our systems. And the third one would be an upgrade as we think about a digital academy. And Dr. McKnight will talk a lot about this in the next part of this presentation, of building out our digital world and our digital academy for our students, and really growing in every way. And that's 3 positions, both at the help desk and 3 positions in the information technology systems specialists for laptop support, given the amount of technology we've increased this year. And Dr. McKnight will share some specifics about that. And that is another area we're going to have to keep an eye on, and it will have to be supplemented with some of our federal funding that can support the technology needed to react and respond to COVID-19. And so those are the areas of those $4.17 million increases, amendments that we're going to present to the board and ask for approval on February 23rd. And I'll pause there if we can take down the slideshow for questions or comments.
Any questions or comments? Ms. O'Neill?
A comment. I totally believe that we will need more building service workers. I know not only this expanded square footage of our new schools, but it's been an ongoing issue of, our building service workers are spread pretty thin, and with increasing needs for cleaning protocols in the post-COVID world, or the COVID world that we'll continue to live with, I really do believe the need for additional building service workers is going to need to be increased.
Ms. Mandrowski?
Thanks. I want to second Ms. O'Neill's comments. I was thinking that when I was looking at it, I'm like, I hope that's enough money, because with all the extra work we're going to have to do, particularly coming up with sterilizing and cleaning and the Wednesday stuff, making sure that we have enough staff is going to be really key for that to be successful. I did have a question about the technology, but I think you answered it. I was wondering why we needed the iBoss if we have the Fortinet, and if Fortinet is what we are currently using for the MCPS firewalls. I'm sorry. But you said that the Fortinet the iBoss is to provide us with good content, and Fortinet is to block any that's bad.
It's for content filtering, so that you get the content you want, but not the content you don't want downloaded. And the other one is firewall and protection. And I have just right there exhausted my knowledge of that technology. And Mr. Chepinini is shaking his head.
Okay, because I'm just
help me out there.
If you could tell me that and what we use now would be great.
Absolutely. So the Fortinet deals more with the firewall and the hardware that is associated with keeping all of those protections out, all the bad things that happen out. iBoss is a is a universal filtering system that allows us to maintain, whether you're using a Chromebook or a laptop or a desktop or an iPad, the filtering system that keeps those bad sites from being visited by students or staff or whatever it is. So one's more of an outgoing thing, one's more of an incoming thing, protection both.
So what do we currently use?
Well, right now we use 3 different systems for filtering. We use Fortinet, which is for PC-based. We also use GoGuardian, and we use an Apple-based system. And our goal is to have iBoss, which is going to maintain a uniformity over all of our systems. We also have Fortinet for our firewalls, and we will continue to use that as well.
Okay, because I know, we've heard from parents and stuff who have concerns about the students being able to even go on like YouTube or different things and look at stuff when they're supposed to be doing their schoolwork on their Chromebooks. So hopefully this will help with some of that kind of stuff too. And then my only other comment is about the increase in communications. But I think that maybe I can get more information about that offline. I'm just curious, I guess most specifically with what they would be doing.
Sure, we can provide that update and we'll have a member of the staff contact you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? I'm not seeing any, so if you'd like to continue, Dr. Smith.
Thank you. When you bring the slideshow back up, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. McKnight here. We have this graphic we've shown you before. It obviously is two-dimensional. It's a flat piece of paper or a slide on a PowerPoint, but it represents a tremendous number of interactions and conversations and discussions and prioritizations with the board, with our community members, and with our staff and associations over the last 5 months. And when we look at the central circle, that's what I want to call your attention to, is the work that will have to be done that people don't think about as we open up school buildings and put students in a new environment in their old familiar school setting. And that's going to take a lot of energy and effort. But we need to do that for their safety and security and well-being. We also need to do it so we can focus on these 4 bubbles that are here. And as I said, Dr. McKnight's going to walk now through the work that's going to get done between now and May, and then we'll continue on through the next 2 school years. So I will turn over to you, Dr. McKnight.
Thank you, Dr. Smith, and good afternoon, board members. I know many of you or all of you have seen this graphic before. We brought this forward and shared it with you at one of our previous work sessions as we were ending the discussion about what is the plan moving forward. As we look at this graphic today, there are 2 things that I'd like to share with you that I think is important for our families and everyone to know, which is this gets at us moving through and out of COVID-19 for the next couple of years. This graphic gets at a few areas that are going to be our priorities and looking at how we're going to be able to provide consistency in the things that we know are important after experiencing COVID-19 and being able to really have a good path moving forward for our students. And so we bring this back to you today just to start some discussion around what this looks like and how it relates to our budget priorities in FY 2022. So specifically in the FY 2022 operating budget, you see here the 2.5-year plan includes $30 million specifically that prioritizes how we're going to utilize our supports to address the needs of our students, our staff, and our community as a result of COVID-19. So those are all the bubbles that you see on the outside of this graphic. It's important to note that we also talk about the budget allocation today for the 2.5-year plan. We are focusing on the money allocated only from the FY 2022 operating budget. It does not include the state and federal money that will be used and contributed to the work that we're doing in the 4 priority areas. Now, with that said, in essence, the money from the operating budget, the state, and the federal government is what's going to be braided together to flush out the scope of all of the work that comes out of these different 4 priority areas over the next 2.5 years. Back in October, on October 19th, we started a discussion with the board around the budget priorities. And so you as board members had an opportunity to each share what you thought the priorities should be moving forward for the school system. So we had a chance to hear you. Since then, we've interacted with a number of our community stakeholders in the months of November, December, processing with them all the priorities that they heard you speak about, and also thinking about how those priorities married up with what they desired as community members and other leaders in our community. So what we've done is we've taken some time to step back from hearing from all of those different areas and all those different stakeholders to be able to come together and analyze all of the data from the discussions with you as board members, from their discussions, and put together the result and the impact of the pandemic in what those priorities should be. And so this was our best effort to be able to fold that into a graphic that outlined what all of those combined priorities are in our effort moving forward. There are a couple of things that I'll point out quickly on the slide, and those are the areas that our families and students have been impacted by due to COVID-19. That continues to be things that we will have to consider and always keep on the forefront of our work. So we know that our students and families that we serve have been impacted academically, while acknowledging that while we have set up a virtual online learning opportunity that has worked for many of our students, there are some that we know just have not been able to replace the in-person experience. We know that there's been social and emotional impact from the pandemic. Physically, students have been impacted as we have the conversations around the importance of extracurricular activities. That has also been a loss for many of our students that they've experienced now for some time. And that has had a physical impact on them as well. And economically, the school system, we're talking here about our budget and we're excited that we have some money to help us move forward to flush out these priorities and what they're going to look like. But many of our families in our community have been impacted in a lot of ways in which they're trying to come back from in COVID-19. And so we have to keep all of that in mind and think about these priority areas. And one, they shouldn't represent all new priority in MCPS. When we think about mitigating learning disruption across schools, yes, disruption is there because of COVID-19, but it has always been our priority to think about the learning for all of our students in our system. And that continues to be a part of what we're going to do moving forward. So as we think about our families and all of our students who've been impacted, there's not, I would say, anyone in our community in some way or another that have not been impacted by this pandemic. I mean, some more so than others, but everyone in a sense. A few months ago, we shared with you as a board some of the data that we had been collecting, particularly around grades, and looking at the increased gaps in academic performance and the variability in learning engagement for our students. So that's going to continue to be an area that we look at in which we learn from the pandemic, what has not worked and what we'll need to do differently moving forward. And then how we take those gaps into consideration and say, what do we need to do differently to meet the needs of all of these students who have been impacted through COVID-19 based on the data that we have been able to pull. As a result of the pandemic, our families have also have an increased level of stress for some of the reasons that I've named. It's been unemployment, school, food insecurity, all of the things that we've worked on as a school system and actually had to partner with many others to address. So those parts of our work will continue to be a major focus and will be areas of continued concern as people find a way out of, and families find a way out and through this pandemic. Our families are making lots of difficult choices about their children's education. We know that our students benefit from the in-person engagement with their peers and their teachers. Our staff have had to think about ways that we reimagine teaching and learning in a virtual format. And again, you know, it's all seems as if it's happened overnight. And there have been some things that we've learned from this that are going to be really important for us to take forward in the future and think about how do we build on the lessons learned. So I don't want to stay in the space of always looking at the negative impact, because I think we can all agree that COVID-19 have given all of us more than enough reasons to think about the negative impact that have allowed none of us to be guarded from. The lessons learned and the experiences that we have had, I must say, in some ways have exacerbated some areas that were already areas that we needed to continue to build on that just became even more vulnerable. And in some of the creativity that we had to approach in this, we've figured out some ways that will allow us to be stronger than we were before COVID-19. I think that's something that we all can think positively about, because while we are in the middle of having conversations with a number of our stakeholders and community members and staff and everyone around what should it look like in the future and what will it look like in the future, it's our opportunity as we owe it to our students in our community to represent something that existed in a way that reaches our students in a way better than we were able to before. So with that, I'll just say that's a big part of what we will continue to do as we think about the effort to meet the needs of all of our students. And I do say all because they all need different things, and we've learned that they've needed different things throughout this entire pandemic, which is why we've had a number of enhanced online resources to support students. I think about our Waymaking series that we were able to put in place 24/7 to meet those needs of our students who were interacting and managing trauma as a reaction to COVID-19. We looked at ways to increase parent engagement. That's always been a focus of ours, but we've had to approach it differently and have found some ways that we are able to do it better through COVID-19. So those are the pieces that we stand onto. I tell you, I reflect on this particularly as we've seen a lot of our African-American heroes in this month of February for Black History Month. And I just saw recently a quote that reminded me of where we are right now. It's from Dr. Martin Luther King, and it's the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at the times of challenge and controversy. And I can't think of any other way to describe exactly where we have been and thinking about how we want to utilize the challenge and the controversy that we've had to experience in COVID-19 to make us a better system moving forward for our students. As I continue to think about this, there are several areas that I want to move us to where I can talk more specifically about some of our initial thoughts around these different areas of focus that we are going to implement in our budget moving forward. Next slide, please. And I'll start with the first area, which is around mitigating learning disruption across our schools. And this has been an area in which we've designated $10.8 million to really focus on what needs to be done in this area. And this has been an area, if you remember, when we first started talking about board priorities, you as board members say this is going to be one of the most important parts of our work as we move forward in the system. I'll take us back for a second to our annual report that we were just looking at. Data is going to be key because as we think about how we mitigate learning disruptions, we've got to look at where the disruption is, what's caused that disruption, and then what are we going to do to specifically address the areas that of need for our students? And I mean, as we think about this, we'll have to think about our early learners, how important reading is, how that plays into our students who have been impacted and what we need to do specifically for our early learners. Our summer programming is one area here also that we should begin to talk about now because our summer programs, similar to last year, our students will be able to enroll and benefit from those programs tuition free. And we want to be able to continue that. But our summer program also, we've learned from last year, while we've had lots of academic programs in place, we heard from our families and students last year on the importance of having a lot of our interest-based learning experiences that really resonated with our students. We got a lot of positive feedback about that. And that just reminded us of how we can't have a one-size-fits-all model. While we've had summer programs for decades and decades and decades, it's still important for us to go back and say, how do we not only focus on programs that are allowed for our students to be able to learn and get ahead of areas in which they want to do, and I think specifically about our high schoolers who wanted to use our summer program as an opportunity to get ahead, and for our students who also need that additional support for them in the summer. But then how do we also keep our students interested and engaged? And I think that word engagement is going to continue to be important as we think about not just getting our students back into our schools, but also how are we going to engage them and have them feel like a value students in this process, and so that they're not just coming back to buildings that they left before, but how are they coming back and going to be engaged in a way that's meaningful to them? So again, thinking about our summer programs is going to be really important there. Next, we have the grade level assessments and using that as a determination and impacting learning disruption. Dr. Smith talked about that earlier. That is our focus right now, and we will continue to come back to the board to share how we are going to design an opportunity to see exactly what that looks like in terms of the data sources that are available to us, and then how we will utilize that to determine what we need to do to address the disruption of learning that may have occurred because of COVID-19. We're also going to look at the utilization of our after-school and weekend programs. I'll use George B. Thomas as an example of a program that we've had as a staple in our community, and we did some things differently this year with George B. Thomas, and we appreciate the staff and the innovation of our leadership and those who've done that. But moving forward, is there anything we want to do to adapt that program to make it even more meaningful for our students who participate in those programs? Adjusting the sequence and spiral of our curriculum and really looking at our curriculum is another area. What adjustments will need to be made based on our students' learning experience this year? We don't want to plow through and discount any opportunities in which our students have not been able to interact with the curriculum in a way that we've paced out that's going to be meaningful to them. So how do we make those adjustments moving forward will also be an area. And then identification of strategic supports to mitigate learning loss for our English language learners and our students in specialized programs, like for instance, in our immersion programs. We have our students who have been in those programs, and it was one thing for them to learn new skills in an in-person environment, but we also need to go back and say, now, what do we need to do to get our students back on track that speaks to the in-person experience being a very true conduit to them getting the valued learning that we need for them to have. So looking at that and how that plays out in our different programs will be key. Next slide, please. The next area that I'm going to focus on here is how we focus on our most poverty impacted schools. And there you see we have $9.5 million of our budget allocated to that. So community schools and the pilots for our community schools is not a new conversation that we've been having in MCPS. We've been discussing this for the past 2 and 3 years and planning and looking at models across the nation to see what has worked and what's worked in different communities and how important it is to differentiate for the community schools depending on the community that it's in. And so we look to be able to pick back up on that work and represent a true collaborative wrap-around service for our students who need additional support beyond the academic support that we provide in our school buildings. I know Ms. Rubin and her staff have been really looking at a number of different models that support social work models and other staff that we'll utilize in those buildings to help pull all of this together. So we look forward to continuing to build on that in our community school pilots. And this is also an opportunity for us to focus on the health and wellness of our students and how that fits into the whole family and what their needs are. And then the parent and community partnerships, because we know that strength that has existed in many of the school community models that we've looked at. So that we will continue to build out. In this area of focusing on our poverty impact schools, we're also going to look at enrich accelerated learning opportunities. Always, and we'll continue to look at how we differentiate and innovate staffing, recruitment, hiring, retention, and professional learning. Dr. Nixon spoke about this earlier from the data that was shared in the annual report. This bullet truly gets at, well, how do we differentiate that model even more for our high need schools? We learned from our ERS study and a number of others that these are some of the schools that have more often than not turnover in the staff. And so we've really got to dig into and take some continued steps in looking at what contributes to that turnover that happens in those schools and how can we better build systems to provide continuity for those students in those communities. So that's what that differentiated bullet is all about. And then additionally in this area, we do have our ESSER 2 grant that we are happy to have that will allow us to continue to look at other creative ways to support our poverty impacted schools. And looking at traditional structures that have allowed us to do this. And I know we've done a lot of this work, particularly through a Title I lens, but we also know that this extends beyond Title I designation. And so taking a step back and saying, overall in MCPS, how do we look at schools and the needs and think about how some of the structures have helped us in some areas, but how do we want to expand on that? So that's the core of our work that will be done in the area of most poverty impacted schools in MCPS. The next area is on well-being and support. Next slide, please. So well-being and support, you'll see that we have here designated $6.2 million in this budget. Again, one of the most critical areas that we will have moving out of COVID-19. We all knew that well-being and support for our student well-being and our staff well-being has always been important. But earlier I mentioned different families, students all over, every single one of us have been impacted in different ways by COVID-19. And we know in order for our students and our staff to feel whole in the work that they do, they've got to be supported and their well-being has got to be at the center of that. So as we designate this money in our operating budget, this is going to be an area that we've started working on and we're going to continue to build on. And one piece of exciting news we received is that MSDE are also going to be launching support in this area with in collaboration with local health departments and school systems. So MSD is also seen this as a priority area moving forward for not just MCPS, but other school systems across the state of Maryland. And so we look forward to partnering with them on that work as we also identify this as an area of importance in our system. So here's some examples of a few things that we'll continue to do to focus on the well-being. COVID testing is a big component of that. We know that people need to feel safe in the environment that they're in. And so we're continuing to build out a plan for how we do that and implement continued safety measures for our students and staff. Athletics and extracurricular activities, as I mentioned earlier, are a big part of what provides that space of well-being for our students. And so we look forward to thinking about ways in which we can expand and support our students who are participating in extracurricular activities. And most importantly, get even more of them involved in extracurricular activities after this pandemic as we consider ways for our students to connect with one another and with the staff. Professional development for our staff and focusing on trauma-informed practices and restorative justice is going to be a key component of our work and our priority moving forward. And this is expanding these areas to not just impact some schools in our system, but all of the schools in our system, knowing, and that sends a strong message that this is work that we don't see as optional, but work that is necessary for our students and our staff. The expansion of school well-being teams and mental health supports. This was an example of an initiative we started in COVID-19 and thinking the school well-being teams represented familiarity for our families, levels of comfort for our families, and how we wanted to build in relationships between the schools and the families during COVID-19. Well, we want to keep those school well-being teams in place and even take their vision and mission further in making those connections to our families throughout the year and not just through a pandemic, so that we can have that meaningful engagement occur throughout the entire school year and the experiences of our students. And then our staff wellness initiatives continues to be a big part of what we will do to support the psychological and well-being supports for our staff and their wellness, as that will continue to be a priority. Next slide, please. So digital learning and support, we have designated $3.5 million in our budget related to this area. So I'm going to share a number with you that many probably won't be surprised by. I'll just ask you to think back into March, April, May, and then again in August, when you would see hundreds of our staff, hundreds of them who came out, our bus drivers out interpreting for our families, our technology teams, our ITSSs, our principals, our staff development teachers, a number of people coming out to our schools, figuring out how do we connect. The number that I'm going to share with you is a number that represents just how quick we had to swing into action to meet the needs of interacting on a singly virtual environment when we were closed last March. So since March 2020, we've spent approximately $50.6 million in technology-related expenses. So that includes our Chromebooks, that includes the MiFi devices that we gave to our families who could not connect. That includes the MiFi and Chromebook devices that we had to give to our staff to make sure they were able to connect. And these expenses were primarily funded through our CARES grant, which we were excited about receiving because it came right at the right time. And for the continuity of learning accounts that we had available, knowing that we would need those accounts available for COVID-19. This just speaks to the huge evidence that we have in the impact of the pandemic and how it has approached us and how we have to look at our renewed focus on digital learning and support within the district. In one of our strategic planning meetings earlier, we even talked a little bit about how now technology has become one of the operational cornerstones that we always had exist, but we needed it to operate during COVID-19 and know that it's going to be an area in which we're going to need to continue to operate based on some things that we've learned from the pandemic. So that then feeds into a few of the bullets that you see here. The virtual academy, this is going to be an opportunity for us to build a structure and support it as a priority that allows us to do a number of things that we have been restricted on in the past around managing brick and mortar limitations. And that is opening access to relevant and engaging courses, programs, and authentic learning and career experiences through being able to provide them through a virtual environment. So that is an opportunity for us. And then our infrastructure applications and tools are going to be able to need to meet the demands of these different opportunities, such as virtual academies and other ways that we've figured out is a better way for us to thrive moving forward in the school system and utilizing our capacity in a digital way that's going to be meaningful to our families and to our students. And I'm excited about us getting more feedback from our students in our community in ways in which this platform has worked for them and how in the future utilizing a virtual platform will be able to increase more opportunity and access for our students moving forward. I think about examples like our virtual back to school nights and parent meetings that we're having. And it really looks at a way that we're going to be able to continue to highly engage our families and our students that allows us to be able to provide better parent-to-parent support and school system to parent support moving forward. And so those are just examples of lessons learned from the pandemic that will allow us to continue to build on digital learning and the support that we provide moving forward in the system. The next slide really is about how we do this. And I will be wrapping up on this slide. I get excited every time I think about this because and we all look for excitement and opportunities to shape and form an even better plan working through a difficult circumstance. And this is about there being an opportunity for us to look at these priorities driven by a focus of equity and working through an anti-racism lens that supports our budget operations, policy review, and human resources, because this is what our anti-racism audit is all about, and keeping that embedded into all of these core operating areas that we've developed in our system and that have brought us much success over the years, but areas that we want to continue to look at moving forward will be really important. And then in addition, these 4 priority areas are directly aligned with the work that we're doing in the audit, and the information we learn from the audit and the subsequent actions will come out of it and will direct exactly what we're doing in our 2.5-year plan moving forward so that the two are all married together and will be meaningful to our community. As we flesh out and develop a plan in each of these areas, it's going to be important that we plan and target our focus on 1, student data, the need by association, and staff needs. We're going to focus on professional development and supports the innovative and reimagined work that we've talked about with you before. We're going to support the engagement of families and community partners that we've worked with and will continue to work with in MCPS. And most importantly, continue to look at the impact and the evaluation of our plan. And before I spoke about this being the premise of our board presentations moving forward and sharing with you the work that our teams work on and developing this 2.5-year plan in these priority areas. And most importantly, as we implement them, coming back time and time again to look at the impact and evaluate what do we need to start doing, stop doing, or continuing to do to meet the needs of all of our students in MCPS. So while we've learned some significant lessons throughout the pandemic and how vital, I'll say our 3 C's are, the effective communication, collaboration, and communication is going to be really important as we ensure the success and development and implementation and evaluation of the plan, the 2.5-year plan in these 4 key areas that we've talked about. And it all starts with how we're going to engage all of our stakeholders, our diverse stakeholder groups, in beginning the development of this plan and how it outlines in these 4 areas. So when I talk specifically about our stakeholders, you'll see them listed here. Number 1, our students. We look forward to including them on these project team committees to get their voices included in how we map out the work for this system so that they feel very much a part of that and can actually bring a realistic perspective as those who've experienced this and help us map out the plan moving forward. SEIU, MCA, and MCAP, and our school-based and central services members are a key part in bringing all of this together as their work experience in all of the different areas in the work in the school system will be influenced. And so we're not missing any part of work that's done on behalf of our students that includes all stakeholders in our community, all staff. And so we look forward to continuing to build this work with them, our community partners, who oftentimes share great ideas and thoughts about how they can partner to help our work in MCPS become even more meaningful to all of our communities in MCPS. So we look forward to continuing to partner with them and so that they're a part of these work groups. The association executive leadership will be a part of this work, again, for their perspective and making sure that they are included and being a part of mapping this out. And the MCPS executive leadership team, who leads a lot of this work internally in the system and have been working and will continue to work with all of these different stakeholders as we do this work. So throughout the plan, we're going to continue to provide a feedback loop in which all of our community members will be able to come back. We have the Deputy Superintendent's Advisory, who represents all of the different stakeholder groups that you see listed here. That group will be essential as they will make some recommendations for community members and staff and everyone who should be a part of these project teams. And then we'll continue to meet as that advisory team to come back and look at this work and provide feedback so that we're able to make adjustments, changes, whatever it may be, with all of the different eyes on this work that makes it meaningful to all of the different priorities. The mission of Montgomery County Public Schools is to ensure every student has the academic, creative problem solving, and social emotional skills to be successful in college, career, and community, regardless of background. And so this plan and working with our community to be able to develop this plan and how it connects to the strategic plan is designed to achieve this mission. And so I will just say, as we focus on the pandemic and the subsequent actions of the pandemic, this 2.5-year plan is going to help us be able to accomplish this task and more with the help of many others. And the effective allocation and prioritization of our operating budget is going to allow us to be able to actualize our goals through and post-pandemic based on the plan that is laid out here in all of the priority areas. So with that, I will stop as I've spoken about each of these areas. And Ms. Wolf, I will turn it over to you for questions and comments.
Thank you. That was a very detailed presentation. I know I have to think about it some and get back to you with some of the questions that I have. Ms. Harris, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you very much. Dr. McKnight, I very much appreciated at the beginning of the presentation when we were talking about mitigation of learning disruption, the very clear mention of truly engaging our students so that we are learning from them not only what they need to recover learning, recover lost opportunities, or maybe improve outcomes on their coursework from this year, but also on what they would like to see in our learning mitigation and kind of learning recovery options. And I just wondered, do we have any more sort of flesh on the bones of how we're going to really meaningfully partner with our students to learn what they need and what they want and their ideas about how it can be most effectively delivered?
Absolutely, Ms. Harris. And I'm looking at one of our great friends who will be very essential in that, Mr. Asante, who is sitting here, and Ms. Shella Cherry. They will definitely be big partners in being able to help us make sure that we have student voice reflective for all of our students, all of their different experiences in this work. And I think that's going to be the most important part of this. And it is not that we have a student voice, but we have many student voices. And knowing that probably in each of these areas that I've just mentioned, we may have had students who've had positive experiences and negative experiences, and making sure that both are represented so that we can figure out what it is that we need to do moving forward. So I give you those two names because they both will be very essential in helping us to make sure that we have that representation front and center, because this is something moving forward we want our students to feel like they are a part of and not something that is happening to them as a result of the work that the system is building out moving forward.
And just a quick follow-up, have we started an organized process of starting to wrap our arms around the size of the summer school offerings we're going to need to be providing in just a few months?
Yes. So last year actually was a big eye-opener for us when you look at the number of students we had engaged in summer school, which was, I would say, more than we have ever had. And that has been a positive for us and much of what we've learned from the virtual environment. We're going to be coming back and sharing more specifically with the board a whole update on our summer planning program. And that is actually going to be coming up soon because that work has already started. And even when we talk about mitigating learning disruption in this whole 2.5-year plan, summer school is a component of that because we'll need to look at it this summer and think about what's needed for this summer based on the year that we've had, but also be open to know what adjustments we need to continue to make the year after that and the year after that. And again, I think your question represents the very thing that we will have to do, which is to continue to be nimble and know that we have a sound structure that we have utilized and will continue to build on, but continue to have a willingness to build on that and be flexible and make changes where necessary and based on what we learn.
Ms. O'Neill.
Well, thank you. And, certainly mitigation of learning loss has to be one of our number one priorities. But I think that our children will be marked, will have the fallout from the COVID period for some time to come. And as I think about it, certainly, summer school will be an important component, Saturday school. But, I have 2 grandchildren. They're 7 and 9, not in MCPS, but I think they're sort of typical 7 and 9-year-olds. And, in talking to my daughter, we talk about what they've lost in this COVID period. And I think depending upon the age of your child, NBC News just commissioned a study with Stanford University Graduate School of Education. And if you did a word chart, stress for our high school students out of this 11,000 student survey nationwide would be at the center. I do think the emphasis on well-being, including adding more money for extracurricular activities, is really vitally important because I think besides stress, our kids have lost some joy in their lives. I know it's stressful for adults, but if you think about my 7-year-old grandson, this year plus is a pretty significant chunk from his life. And, the spontaneity, fun has sort of evaporated from many of our kids' lives. And no fault to the parents, no fault to the school system, although I know some would put blame on us. It's unfortunate, but I really do think it's not just adding more time in school, but also giving the kids time to learn how to re-engage and have that spontaneity of childhood. that really has been missing and has impacted them greatly. So, I think we have to balance. I mean, our responsibility is about education, but we also have to support kids socially and emotionally so that they are ready to learn and absorb the educational piece.
Are there any other questions or comments? Ms. Silvestri?
Thank you. I'm having a hard time coming up with a question because this is so much information to digest. But in the beginning, the first slide, you stated, the one with the circles, we're moving from the number of students to the level of need among students. And I see that we're focusing, there's a section here on most poverty impacted schools, but there's children in poverty with need all over the school system, not just in the highly impacted by poverty schools. So I just would love a real succinct layman's terms explanation on how you see this plan going from thinking about resources for a number of students to the need that students actually have.
Thank you, Ms. Silvestri. So what you see here in terms of our focus on high need schools, this has been one that, if you think back to the Kerwin legislation, this was one that came through that area as a recommendation to school systems around how do you develop specific structures for how you support some of your high need schools specifically. And so building on what we learned from the Kerwin legislation, we went into action and we started to plan. And that has been not that we are, I'll get to the second part of what you just said in a minute, because it doesn't negate doing the other, but how we approach supporting our schools that are highly impacted, I think is something that we always have to look at. And going through and looking at MCPS, we've always had schools that have been highly impacted. And when we think about the ERS study and a number of other things that we've learned over the years, we have to continue and come back and ask the question, and given what we've learned from the Kerwin legislation, what can we do differently to support those schools to increase their being more success for our students and for our staff? And so that has been a focus of ours since as always, but definitely with the Kerwin legislation, because there was a blueprint that actually outlined for school systems exactly how to go about looking at that. So that's work that is continuing. And that's something that we just continue to look at and say, how do we get better at it? How do we get better at supporting our highly impacted schools? And so I'll put that into why you see it there as a bubble, because there have been a number of circumstances that have contributed into why we want to continue to build on that. But to your point, Ms. Silvestri, yes, we have students in every single one of our schools, every single one who benefits from us paying attention to who they are and knowing in those schools exactly who they are so that we can make sure we're meeting their needs appropriately. And so as we talk about mitigating learning loss, that's when you'll be able to see structures such as our equity accountability model and those types of things that we build out to say it doesn't matter what school we're talking about, MCPS, if there's a student in those schools who are in every particular school who is impacted one way or another, and that's getting in the way of their success, we have a responsibility to know who those students are and address their specific needs. So I say that to say this is how we actually do both. Focus on generally our schools that have been and continue to be highly impacted, and how we look at structures and processes to improve the success of students and their families in those communities. And then also continue to re-energize knowing who all of those students are in every single one of our schools to ensure we're meeting their needs. So essentially, it is definitely both happening simultaneously. That's what we should be doing, and that's what we will have to continue to do.
Ms. Mandrowski.
Yeah, mine's not really a question so much as a follow-up to what you were saying about the summer school stuff. And I appreciate seeing funding in there to help support our students on weekends, after school, before school, whatever we can do to provide supports that they need is going to be critical, making sure that we have those supports in multiple languages. The only thing I'm going to say, like my colleagues, I don't have really any questions because having just seen this, it's a lot to absorb and need time to think about everything. But the sooner we can get out information about summer school and our calendar for next year, I know a lot of people are really waiting to make their plans to hear what we're going to be doing. So I'm excited for that update soon. So thank you.
Yep. We will bring that back, Ms. Mondraski. I mean, that is on everyone's mind. I know it's not warm yet, but summer is coming in. And we do want to give every family every opportunity to be able to engage in that in a meaningful way. So we will be bringing that back.
Thank you. I know a lot of people are trying to make their plans, so it would be helpful. Thank you.
And Ms. Harris and then Ms. O'Neill.
Thank you. One question I have, looking at supports for students and really kind of looking at the whole student instead of just focusing in on the academic piece of what we do as a school system. And this goes both to something that we don't seem to be doing much right now, but also extending it into the next school year. We've done a lot around student athletic programs and making provisions for as much as we can athletics to continue during the school year. And even we have plans for the later spring and the end of the school year to allow some sports seasons to happen. But I'm not seeing much about the arts programming. And we have a lot of students in our system for whom the arts are incredibly important to them. That's kind of where they find their individuality, and they express it and they find meaning in what we offer them. And I've seen systems around the country doing really creative endeavors and approaches to allowing, instrumental music, choral music, theater, dance to continue even in the time of the pandemic. And even, those creative music teachers, I can't remember where they are, but they created filters to go over the ends of the wind instruments so that they could get their orchestras together, physically together, and the students could continue to play. Are we doing anything to provide real, non-virtual, non-Zoom opportunities for our students in the arts as we close out this school year and we start really ramping things up, maybe even making some opportunities in the summer?
Thank you, Ms. Harris, for that. So I understand exactly what you're saying. I have a son at home who is absolutely motivated by the arts. And in a lot of ways, I'll say this has been, our arts teachers and arts programs has been a saving grace in a lot of ways, socially and emotionally for our students in this pandemic. We're going to look at those programs as we are all of the others. Yes, we do have a specific plan to be able to bring students back in for sports activities. And as we continue to fold in our return to in-person plan, one part that we've continued to commit to looking at is looking at ways in which we can safely implement more of our extracurricular activities and which ones are appropriate and how we're able to fold that into our in-person plan. So that is one area that we'll continue to look at. We know it's important. We know it's critically important and why. And as we bring our students back into the structure, it will be one that we'll continue to update the board on in terms of how that folds into how we're beginning to implement all of our extracurricular activities. Because I think bit by bit, we'll be able to fold them in. But it's almost like we'll have to learn from the first lesson and then how we apply that to then expand and build on much into how we're phasing in our in-person programs generally. So we see that as just a component of our program. So we look forward to updating you more on that because it is important, Ms. Harris. I completely agree with you.
Ms. O'Neill.
Yes, I wanted to respond to Ms. Smendraski's question and comments regarding the calendar. The Policy Management Committee has a meeting on February 25th that is intended to be devoted to the calendar options under our calendar policy. It comes to the Policy Management Committee to make a recommendation to the full board. The community, there has been an internal committee looking at various calendar options. They will come to the Policy Management Committee on February 25th. I don't remember the date, and early in March, the first week of March, we will bring forward a recommendation to the full board at a work session. We're not going to wait until March 11th board meeting to have a public discussion about the calendar options with the full board, and then send it out for public comment, take action early, like mid-March for next year's school calendar. I do know that Labor Day, I believe, is September 7th. And then Rosh Hashanah is the next day. So school would not be able to begin. I may have the dates wrong, but I know generally. So the options really are, do we start before Labor Day? Do we start after Labor Day, after Rosh Hashanah? There aren't very many scenarios, but you will see it on February 25th at 3:00, and then it will come to the full board that first week of March.
Okay, thank you for that. We won't be seeing it before that meeting?
No.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know, as a committee meeting member, I didn't know if we were going to get any of that to look at beforehand.
You'll get your packet before the meeting on the 25th, but the public won't see it until February 25th. But I think there are, the question is before Labor Day or after Labor Day. And, allowing some break in between the summer school options prior to the start of school. But we have that calendar committee meeting next week, and then not waiting until March 11th because we know people are anxious about next fall.
Yes, wonderful. That's great to hear, Pat. Thank you.
Ms. Silvestri.
I wanted to ask about the, on slide 13, focus on most poverty impact schools. Could you explain a little bit more the bullet point that says differentiated and innovative staffing recruitment, hiring, retention, and professional learning?
Sure, Ms. Silvestri. So I'm happy to elaborate on that one because I know this has been a priority of the board. The board has been talking about this for a while and asking us to really think about what can we do as a system to support our highly impacted schools. So this has been work the system as well as the associations have been engaging in over time to really work with our Human Resources Office to one, think about how do we recruit staff in those schools who, one, have a shared interest in the success of the students and the students in that school and the community. And secondly, what are the things that we can do to make sure we retain the staff in those schools? I mentioned that earlier. I believe it was in relation to a slide in our annual report. But recruiting for our highly impacted schools and then making sure we put the right things in place to retain the staff there allows us to do implement several important steps. And that's one, learning from some of the successful practices of what other systems have done, what we have done that in the past that we may want to go back and think about that has contributed to the success of our high need schools. We have some successful practices happening in our different schools that we want to leverage and learn from. We want to hear from our staff around what are the things that they need and what's important in those schools that the school system should be aware of and think about in terms of investment. And then we also know that in the way in which we utilize staff in those schools may be different from what we have in some of our other schools. And so just the ability to be able to differentiate staff and how we utilize them and their work, knowing that the needs are different in those schools, have always been a part of the discussion. And so MCPS and our associations and staff have really taken on this conversation, I'd say over the past year, about what does this look like? And actually pulling back the layers even more to understand some of the complexities of what we learned in our ERS study. Yes, we do have oftentimes many of our novice staff in some of our high need schools But why is that the case? And so we know that's the case because there's often a lot of turnover. Well, what causes the turnover? And really get into the root cause of that so that we're working on the right problem and correcting that in the structures that we put in place. So that's what that differentiating and the innovative staff and recruitment is all about. And it's just us being innovative in how we recruit staff. We have staff coming into MCPS with a lot of different experiences from different places over the years who, we want to know who those staff members are and how that contributes to their success and how that will, or how we can build structures with our human resources office and utilizing that staff in the best way in our schools that are highly impacted.
And the first step will actually happen this spring with positions created and posted for next school year so that staff within MCPS who meet the criteria can begin to move into some of these positions in these most impacted by poverty schools. And so a lot of planning, but also some direct action that will take place during this hiring season for next year. And all of this is very closely aligned to the Blueprint for Maryland's Future and the way to think about staff in that. So we'll be ahead of the game, and we'll be attracting our most experienced and capable teachers and other staff members to these buildings with the highest level of poverty.
Well, thank you. Am I seeing any other questions or comments? Ms. Harris.
Last question for me, I promise. So looking at the last part of the presentation, or second to last, we were talking about digital learning and the elements underneath that we're going to be emphasizing and focusing on. From the perspective of a teacher and a parent and a public health person, we are all going to have to be reintegrating into a learning approaches and styles that are not almost wholly reliant on staring at a screen. And we know that, it is not optimal for students of any age to be, for their cognitive development and their physical and mental wellness to spend a lot of time staring at screens. So are we looking to sort of really thoughtfully and intentionally reintegrate practices in the classroom that very directly are not based on using classroom technology and maybe even are getting students not only off screens but outside for part of their learning day?
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Absolutely. We were having these conversations, if we think back even before COVID-19, and how do we create an environment that provides a balance for our students? And I think after experiencing COVID-19, all of our students will have more than enough of being on screen, but we also know as students, this is their world too. Many of them are very reliant on how they utilize a virtual platform in a way that's meaningful to them. So moving forward, I think we continue to find that balance in how we plan for the experience of our students in the school day, acknowledging that this past year has been one that has been definitely a heavy screen year. But again, as we think about how do we strike that balance, that will have to be the priority moving forward. And I know it will be as we work with our school leaders and plan out schedules and all of those things that have had, in a lot of ways, some tradition to them. Well, how do we, in some ways, keep some traditions that were meaningful, but disrupt others in thinking about how we seek that balance for our students? So absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I think it'll bring all of us much joy to hear the screams of students coming from playgrounds in our future moving forward.
Are there any other questions or comments? Well, I'm not seeing any. I don't know if Dr. McKnight, you or Dr. Smith have any closing comments, but if not, we're at the end.
Ms. Wolf, I'll let Dr. Smith close out, but I did want to acknowledge, I know many of the board members mentioned this was a lot of information, and we do acknowledge that, but know that we'll be bringing parts of this back to the board to just react to in terms of the planning that is being done so that you are being updated on the progress of the work that these project teams will start to build as it relates to this. And that'll be a way for us to have some smaller discussions around all of the priority areas. But thank you so much for your questions and comments. Dr. Smith?
So this will be the information that will be brought forward on the 23rd. So it won't be a long presentation on the 23rd, but unlike past years, there will be many additional opportunities along the way, as Dr. McKnight just said, for board interaction, discussion, and input on how all these things come together as we first send an initial board recommended budget to the county executive and then move forward to get to the end of May into June, and then with the new budget year starting July 1st. And my last comment is just a very sincere thank you to literally hundreds and hundreds of staff who worked on this budget, as well as our stakeholders and advisory groups and our association partners, everybody working together to get to this point. And finally, a very specific thank you to Yvonne, Dan, and Tom, because we've just put a lot of demands on them, and they have done great work so far this year. And we really, really appreciate Dan, Tom, and Yvonne. And Nancy Austin, who retired in January also. I got to call her name out. So thank you to everybody so much.
Well, thank you. And thank you for the presentation and the work that you did on this. And we look forward to having some discussions so that we can get a clear understanding before the February board meeting, the February 23rd board meeting. So if I don't see any other questions, this concludes our work session. Thank you and see you later.